Imagine losing a game to a quarterback who is legally blind. Seriously, imagine losing a game to a quarterback that cannot see anything happening on the field. Well, in a 1977 game between the Miami Dolphins and the Seattle Seahawks, that's exactly what happened. The Seahawks got smoked badly by a team that had a quarterback under center that had no vision whatsoever. This is the story behind the time a blind quarterback won a football game. First, we need a bit of context because it's important to note just who this blind quarterback was. As you might have been able to guess, it was eventual Hall of Famer and one of the greatest quarterbacks of his era, Bob Griese. For the first 9 years of his career, everything was fairly normal for Griese with his vision. He had a strong eye and a weak eye, but it was nothing that he couldn't play with. He explained this discrepancy in an episode of Peyton's Places.
I had amblyopia when I was a kid. When I was in grade school, they'd check you for your eyes. So I'd cover this eye up, and I could read the E's in this way and all the other. She said, okay, that's great. Cover your other eye. I'd cover my good eye, and I didn't want to displease this lady. Right. I wanted to do as best I could. It was a competition. I'd read like this, so it was never caught.
When Don Shula took over as the head coach of the Dolphins in 1970, when the AFL and the NFL merged, you'd be hard-pressed to find too many quarterbacks in football better than Griese over the first 6 years. From 1970 to 75, Griese won 2 Super Bowls, made 4 Pro Bowls, was 5th in total passing touchdowns, and was 4th in passer rating among qualified quarterbacks. Life was good for Griese. But in 1976, his vision took a turn for the worse. He experienced double vision and dizziness. And I think most people could tell that something wasn't right with Griese, because that season, the Dolphins were 6-8. It was the first time in Don Shula's 16-year NFL head coaching career that his team finished below 500. Griese threw more interceptions than touchdowns. His yards per pass attempt dipped by over a full yard. The number of sacks he took nearly doubled, jumping from 16 in 1975 to 30 in 1976. Obviously, Griese knew he needed to get this problem sorted out, especially with his vision only getting worse. And so in 1977, he decided to wear contacts. The only problem was that contacts didn't seem to be working because of the prisms. He wore contacts for a preseason game, but after he missed an extra point attempt badly, he switched to what would eventually become his signature style: glasses. Yes, you heard that right, he made the switch to glasses after missing an extra point attempt. I wish there was video of this, because Bob Griese as an NFL kicker fascinates me in the same way that Joe Theismann as an NFL punt returner did. You can check that story out in the upper right corner. So now Griese's vision problems were seemingly fixed. In the first 5 games of the 1977 season, Griese bounced back big time. He threw 5 touchdowns and just 2 interceptions, and had a passer rating of 90.2. He was back to being one of the best quarterbacks in all of football, all thanks to his glasses. There's just one problem that comes with glasses though. What happens when it rains? I'm not talking about a drizzle or a bit of rain like he faced in Buffalo in week 1. He even said that wasn't a problem, saying that even though we had to clean them constantly, and even though we had to throw through the bubbles sometimes, he said, I just don't think they're gonna bother me. I'm talking about a heavy rainstorm. What happens in a torrential downpour? Well, we found our answer. Turns out, in heavy rain, Bob Griese was gonna play completely blind. On October 23, 1977, the Miami Dolphins and the Seattle Seahawks met at the Orange Bowl, in what would be the first ever meeting between these two teams. The weather for most of the game was atrocious. It was so bad, in fact, that less than 30,000 people showed up at the Orange Bowl for this game, with over 10,000 people being no-shows. It was the smallest crowd for the Dolphins since the merger. When you have a humid day where it feels like it's over 90 degrees, winds of 13 miles an hour, and heavy rain, it's not a pleasant experience for anyone. And nobody felt this more than Bob Griese. After starting the game with glasses, he realized that this was a lost cause. There was no way he was going to be able to see anything with the rain covering up his vision. So he decided to play the game without glasses. And the end result? Despite being all but blind, the Dolphins won the game 31-13. He played the entire game and went 11 for 18 with 105 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 91.2 passer rating. Somehow, despite not being able to see, it might have been one of his best performances of the season, and that's saying something. since he led the league in touchdown passes and won the Burt Bell Award for Player of the Year. After the game, Griese said, "As bad as it was with the raindrops on the glasses, I could see better without them. I was a blind man out there, but I still completed them." The Seahawks had the worst defense in football in 1977. They allowed the most points, allowed the second most yards, the second most passing yards, the second most first downs, and the third most touchdowns of any team in the league. And if you want another indicator of just how bad they were, and how bad expansion teams usually are in their first few years, they also lost to a quarterback who was legitimately blind. Be sure to check out Twitch every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern for your chance to play NFL Trivia and win cash prizes. Link in the description below. Also, special thanks to all of our Patreon supporters for helping out the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. See how you can become a patron and request future video topics in the description below.